Hello and thank you for joining me. This is foodoffensive.com's weekly Fukushima update. I bring you, this is number 6 of a weekly update that I bring you regarding Fukushima. And normally I cover food only related issues and bring you special reports on certain things in our food supply and bringing about awareness of what we're actually eating. But I like to, with the time I spent in Japan and just my love for the people of Japan and those that I know that still live there and that are Japanese, they live there. So I wanted to bring about awareness to maybe my research and things, finding articles, finding stories that maybe you're not going to see in the normal news. You're not going to see just coming across it on Facebook or other platforms, but just bringing you those particular things, those that get a little bit deeper, get a little bit into some of the issues that are going on that are maybe either being covered up or not properly reported on or spun in a way. And there's a particular one this week that is kind of spun in a different direction, but we can kind of pinpoint in a way that it could be related to Fukushima. So, and it's an article from the Alexander Higgins blog. He's covers a whole range of stories, a lot about Fukushima, and this particular one is titled "Hundreds of Flight Attendants Fall Ill with Hair Falling Out." And going down the article here, if you're watching the video of this, you can see the screen here that I'm looking at in the article itself. It says, following wildlife die-offs and polar bears losing their fur, hundreds of Alaska airline attendants complain of a mysterious illness with symptoms including itchy rashes and hair falling out. And it goes on to say it is just making news now, but since last year, Alaska airplane flight attendants started mysteriously getting ill with symptoms that include itchy rashes and hair falling out of their heads. Now, the official story, of course, is that it's from toxic uniforms, blaming it on that. But Alexander Higgins had previously reported on the fact that there are mysterious die-offs of wildlife, marine and land animals, and with polar bears losing their fur and having skin lesions. We could point this towards Fukushima. Now, there's a video. This is a clip I'm going to show you from the news in Seattle about the flight attendants and talking about it being, quote, toxic uniforms and blaming it on that. And we're going to show that. I'm going to show that clip right now, and then we'll come back. It's just a short clip.
Now to a King 5 exclusive. Alaska Airlines flight attendants are pushing for a uniform change. That's because hundreds say the current outfits are making them sick. King 5's Chris Daniels reports from SeaTac.
At SeaTac Airport tonight, a veteran Alaska Air flight attendant says,
"I've never had a uniform like this."
He thinks his suit could be causing major irritation.
See those little red dots? It just broke out like 2 weeks ago. Broke out on my back first, and now it's on my legs. So I don't know what it is. I mean, I can't say it's a uniform, but I didn't have it till I flew like 6 or 7 days in a row. A whole bunch of flying, and then I started breaking out.
He filed a formal complaint with his union, one of 280 Alaska flight attendants, which claimed the uniforms, possibly holding a contaminant named tributyl phosphate, caused adverse health reactions and skin irritation. The Association of Flight Attendants asked the airline to formally make a change last month. And just last week, Alaska's President Brad Tilden acknowledged by letter an issue exists and the company could look to replace the uniforms. Tonight, the company's vice president told King 5, "The safety of our employees is paramount and we've been working closely to resolve this issue. However, numerous tests have been unable to determine the cause of the reactions. We provided 2 alternate uniforms to those who are affected."
It's hot. A lot of people I've talked to said that a lot of flight attendants won't wear it because it doesn't breathe.
Flight attendants and union leaders acknowledge it will cost money to make a change.
That's a lot of money for them.
That suits all involved. The union represents a little bit more than 2,800 flight attendants, so about 1 in every 10 have complained about these uniforms. Alaska also says tonight that it will develop standards for sourcing and materials, but it is unclear if it plans to make any immediate changes to the uniforms. at SeaTac Airport. Chris Daniels, King 5 News.
Okay, so you can see how they, blamed it on the uniforms, and, we're talking about 280 flight attendants having, this problem. It's just about 1 out of 10 in this particular workforce or particular union, I believe it referred to in the video. The fact that they, are blaming it on the uniform, and the particular gentleman in the video saying it didn't happen until I flew for like 7 days straight. Well, they very well could be. Very well could be the uniforms, but some of these same symptoms are also related to radiation poisoning. So, you can't help but think if that's where, the air stream is flowing. That's the way the flight patterns take that. They take that flight, kind of in an arch from Japan to Alaska. But before I move on with this week's Fukushima update, I will apologize in advance. I'm not using the same camera, so any video glitches or breakups or anything like that, or off-coloring, any issues that are from that, it's from a different camera and not using my full quality camera. But in the interest of getting these out on time, although I am a little behind, I wanted to just use what I had and get going with it. So that's why it's a little different this week. But along with this story is the marine die-offs issue, as I just referred to. The fact that polar bears losing fur and their sick animals as radiation hits the West Coast. It refers to Raw Story ran a corporate media article acknowledging the discovery of iodine radiation in kelp off the coast of California. The story added few details to what has already been widely reported in the alternative media. Most notably was the iodine was first detected in the water within a month after the Fukushima meltdown, and doublespeak over the safety because the levels are supposedly relatively low. Well, relative to what? Radiation is radiation. But going along with this story, you can see this picture here. The fur issue here. You can see the fur there, kind of mange almost looking, but it says polar bears with alopecia and skin lesions in the Beaufort Sea, March 21st, 2012. Talking about, and then it goes on to talk about how biologists are not sure, they're just beginning to investigate what's going on, and finding, it looks like 9 out of 33 bears they've captured have had this problem. They've also pointed out similar symptoms since '99, but the number of affected bears this year is unusual. Well, obviously, it's hard not to collate the two. You're probably thinking of just another article or another person trying to point out or blame everything on Fukushima. Well, it's, you put 2 and 2 together, and you really can't. It's hard to deny what's going on here. And then it goes on, there's a video on this article about radiation being detected in a plane flying and some other things. There was a petrochemical explosion too. I might have to do a special thing on that back in April. I didn't even know about it till I saw this article. Japanese school children suffering horribly from the Fukushima nuclear fallout. Talking about bleeding from their nostrils, skin diseases, cardiovascular diseases. It's the stuff you're not going to hear about. Like I said, you're not going to hear about it unless you go and look for this stuff specifically. There's a great interview with a nuclear activist, a Japanese guy. He has pretty good English, and he's on a radio interview. I watched the whole thing of that. It's about a 30-minute interview, and there's some video of the kids as well in this article. If you're watching the video version of this, you can see this right now. I'm kind of just scrolling through it. That's why I'm looking down here to read this. The article ends with this quote. It says, "The bottom line is the continuity of government is the government's #1 priority. Without the people, there is no government, and hence Japan will not be evacuated. Always keep this in mind." And that's an article by Alexander Higgins on his own blog, the Alexander Higgins blog. You can see that if you haven't seen any of his articles. He's doing a lot of great stuff. So, like I said, on a lot of issues, a host of issues. But that's what I wanted to cover this week. There's no particular hard evidence of it yet, but will there ever be? There's always cover-ups. There's always issues with knowing the truth, finding out what it is that's really out there, and so you can make your own speculations based on the research that you've done. And I encourage you to, if anything, this would spark your interest in looking into it further, taking maybe your own action, getting the word out, and also protecting yourself in any way that you can. Because despite if you're still thinking that the Fukushima disaster is just Japan's problem, well, think again, because even if you think about your own self, you should really pay attention to it, because we are seeing the effects of it. So this is my attempt to get the word out in my own way, and in those that are watching this, and put a little bit of extra effort forth in creating another 1 or 2 videos a week than I normally would, just in order to cover these things. And so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're getting something out of it, and please feel free to pass it on to others, and tune in for more. But this has been FoodOffensive.com's weekly Fukushima update. Thank you for joining me.